there's just a few more hours that remain before the end of the old year and the start of the new one. And I think in most countries where they celebrate Christmas, they talk about how many shopping days are left before Christmas, right? Or sometimes they talk about how many hours are left for shopping before Christmas. And apparently, last-minute shopping is what boosts sales the most. Looking at it from a little bit of a different perspective, but the same idea. How many hours left before midnight strikes tomorrow and the new year begins? But also, just as last-minute preparation for exams is not to be recommended, but it happens anyway, and it's useful. If there wasn't that chance for last-minute preparation, how many people would pass? Not so many people have consistently worked through the year to be able to guarantee that pass, but the last-minute gallop, and it helps. Last-minute Christmas shopping, and the sales go boosting up, so good for the shops. And so I'm seeing that, in a way, it's not just the last few hours before the end of 2006, but from all the Murlis this season, where Baba has given us a signal about time, every single Murli has spoken about time. Now, I don't remember a past season in which every single Murli Baba speaks about time, and this time Baba has. And so to me, it's in a sense, it's the last sprint, the last gallop before whatever happens and the results are declared or the final test comes in front of me. And so this year, the new year seems to be particularly significant. And for me, it's been a very special bonus to be here. I wasn't expecting at all to be here. And drama finds me here, and I feel Baba's brought me here for a special boost. And I'm seeing that whatever time I've spent between the moment I come to Baba and this moment, I think it's true for most of us that it's not been a straight journey right to the peak. But it's been uphill and a little bit downhill, uphill and then down a little bit. But yet, hopefully, always in that direction in which you're moving towards a destination. Even though it appears to be a bit of a downhill, yet still it's still moving in that direction. And I think that every time there's been an up, well, that's great. It's been beautiful. The soul has special memories of those experiences and the joy of that. But also looking back and seeing the times when it's been downhill, the soul has been able to come out of it. This is why we're all still here. If it had been downhill all the way and it had continued, we wouldn't be here today. So it's been downhill, but again, we've moved up once more. And so whatever it is that happened that took us down, it's useful to look back and see, well, why did that happen? Not in the sense of a challenge to drama, why did it happen? But a challenge to the self in seeing, well, what was it that made it happen like that? So that each time there's a downward trend, I'm able to identify what it is that has caused it. But equally, each time there's then been an upturn, also important to be able to identify what it is that has made that happen. so that I keep all those methods, yuktis, Baba uses this word, yuktis, all those little tricks, those methods, I keep them with me, so that even if it's just a little bit of a down, I don't let it get too far down and then start applying the yukti. But if I see that it's even just a tiny, tiny bit, then I'm able to instantly start checking and changing and using the techniques that Baba's given me that I've used myself before. Maybe I haven't sat and analyzed it and thought it out in a very articulate way, but let me look back and see, well, what is it that allowed me again to take the upturn and brought about that change once more? Maybe it was a visit to Madhuban, maybe it was a special opportunity for service, maybe it was a meeting with the Dadi, maybe it was a chance meeting with someone in the courtyard or the dining room and they said something. But whatever it was, let me recreate that awareness of what it is that happened, so that then I have that as a method for me to use any other time for the future also. So to identify the lessons I've learned coming down, to identify what are the things that created the upturn again, and so keeping both of those things in mind today. Now again, I make a resolution for the new year. I believe today you had a workshop where you were thinking about resolutions, is that right? Yep. So today maybe you already made your resolution in the workshop. And if you haven't, there's still time between now and when Baba comes to sit quietly in the corner and sit and write that. And don't just think it, write it. There's a big difference between thinking and writing, in the sense that you can say, okay, now I'm going to churn something. And you sit and churn, and after a few minutes you realize that you weren't really churning. You were thinking about this thing, that thing, and the other thing. So you started off churning, but then your mind went here and there, and the mind has so many connections and so many different places that it's very easy for it to go running off. And so to be able to see, well, what is it that has been able to help me, and what is it that I can do to keep my mind on the right track instead of allowing it to go racing off here and there. And so whatever resolution I make now before Baba comes, if it's clear in my mind, and just as with churning, I've written things down, in the same way, I've actually focused my mind and written what are the things that I am making a commitment to change. Then it's not even that I'm handing over the letter to somebody, but I'm underlining it for myself. First, I'm clarifying it for myself. Writing makes sure that you get it clear. And then you also actually make that commitment to yourself when you write it. This is what I have to do. And I'm not allowing myself to feel disheartened, in the sense that, people say, I've got very good practice. I've tried giving up smoking at least 20 times, so I've had good practice at it. That's not good practice. I've tried giving up smoking 20 times and I'm still trying. But even though I may have tried giving up smoking 20 times, if today really I am determined, it'll happen. And of course, for Baba's children sitting here, that's not such a big deal. That you probably did within the first week of coming to Baba, threw away whatever cigarettes there were around. But the inner addictions, the inner habits, even though I haven't been able to be successful up until now, that's not exactly true. I may say that that's so, but I want to take this up in a minute again. It's not completely true. But today I say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give up my attachments. I can take help from Baba, and I can take the help of time, because time is moving very quickly and is carrying me forward. Time is on my side, because time wants me to become perfect and complete. Time wants to move on. And so I have Baba's help, I have my determined thought, and I have the help of time also. And why I say that mustn't be disheartened even if I've tried 20 times, because every time I did try, there was something more I had to learn, and I had to try again, and I had to try again. And so if I've been learning along the way, or even if I haven't, if today I take the time to look back and I see, okay, I tried, and I had to try again, and I had to try again, but what was it that again made me give up that discipline and come back into a past habit? And so I believe that even though decades may have gone by, or maybe just a few months have gone by since you've come to Baba, there's still hope. I can still make that attempt and make it happen this time. Coming to Baba, and I'm fresh and enthusiastic, and change is happening so quickly, and I'm wondering, how come these other people have taken 30 years and 40 years? I don't know why. It doesn't take that long. But that's my ego speaking. And then I see for myself, however long it is I've been with Baba, but what are the mistakes I kept making? But now, what are the lessons I can learn from my mistakes? Just as each one of us has a core of goodness, in the sense that there are many qualities you can talk about, whether it's 36 qualities, 108 qualities, however many thousands of qualities. But when they were first thinking about this and making up a picture of maybe 32 different virtues, that was a list they made. Out of that, which are the qualities that are intrinsically mine? Let me be able to see those. Let me see my own goodness. And in a very simple way we say, yes, the original qualities of the soul are love, or peace and truth and so on, all those things. But yet, what is my particular quality? In silence, if I sit and look inside, no ego, but these are the gifts that I've been blessed with. And so to be able to identify those. And then, having done that exercise, yes, let me also be able to identify the things that are not so good that I need to change. The good and the not so good. And if I can see this very clearly, my strengths and my weaknesses both together, I'm not talking about a business plan, but self-development plan. So seeing your strengths and weaknesses together, I say I'm going to focus on using all the good qualities that I have, sharing those, using those, giving to others, whatever. And the more I use them, the more strongly they emerge. And it's these new sanskars that then start to catch hold of the soul. It's there within me, but I'd forgotten how to use it, I'd forgotten how to access it. And so now, a method of being able to tune into the core being of the self through Baba's influence. On my own, I couldn't do it. But Baba's influence allows those inner qualities to blossom, to come forth. And then with the confidence that comes from knowing Baba, knowing myself, knowing that this is something which is possible, then I look at the other side, the weaknesses that I have. What are the things that hold me in bondage still? And if I can do both sides of the picture, there's certainly not going to be loss to anyone. There's only going to be benefit for everyone in contact with me. And so to see that which I need to change within myself and make a commitment to Baba that I am going to change this, I think it requires a word that has come up in the last month in the Avyak Murlis: retirement. Serve people of retired age, and they have time. Brahma Baba, while he was occupied in his business, he was occupied with his bhakti, but still. And then a time when Baba surrendered everything and was left with nothing. And then a time when Baba was able to help others and inspire others to create their fortune. Baba had given everything himself away, but then the inspiration to others to create their fortune too. So I've given away all my weaknesses to Baba. And from that, I've learned how to be able to share that experience with others. I've had weaknesses. No one came to Baba from Satyug. Everyone came to Baba from Kali Yuga. So what's that telling you? Everybody came with stuff. And then, yes, whether we've dealt with that stuff quickly, or whether we've taken decades, or whether we've taken months, now, number-wise, all of that. But for those who've been through the whole experience for a long period of time, a chance to get to know the self very deeply and intensely in a way that just couldn't have happened if it were just a short time. And every soul, every role, and its part unique and individual and beautiful, absolutely true. But I know that I have needed this time of decades and decades to know myself, and also to be able to understand in what way I have to change myself, and also to be able to know what it is that lies ahead of me in the future. And of course, both things come together. But to know myself means to know my immediate self, but also then to go back in history and realize that original state. And so in terms of making resolutions and abiding by them, yes, to write them on a piece of paper and throw them into the bonfire, it's lovely. But yet, seriously, do I know what are still the sanskars that I haven't dealt with? Or am I going to wait for a scene of drama to come and indicate to me that, hey, look, you haven't done this work, this needs to happen? If I see every situation and every person I meet as an opportunity for me to be able to look into the mirror and see myself, I'm going to have that commitment to constant learning and constant moving and constant development. And it is true. Out of all the people on the planet, why is it that I should interact with the people that I do interact with? Okay, so we're deity souls. That's a good reason, because it means that we've been through the cycle together. Our bonds are eternal bonds. On a physical level, on the one hand eternal, and yet on the other hand physical, in the sense that the whole world, God's children, brothers and sisters, so there's an eternal bond that links them. But yet, that relationship of soul with God and the relationship of a Brahman soul with God is a very different one. And so let me be able to look at any scenario in the past, but also then focusing at the millions now. What is it that presses my button? What happened before? What's happening today? And how can I reach the stage that Baba wants me to reach, which is up above? So that things down here are down here, and up above, it's the Hindi word I'd like to use here, upram. Up above, so that the things down here don't touch you. The problem about the things down here touching you is that they'll trigger old sanskars. Doesn't matter who it is, how close or not close that relationship may be. But I'm still carrying my negative sanskars. The world is still full of negative sanskars. And the people in front of me are also carrying their negative sanskars. So it's quite possible that sanskars will clash with sanskars and there'll be fire, there'll be conflict. But having understood my sanskars, then I say, okay, I'm not going to use these sanskars anymore. I recognize it, I'm not ignoring it, I've seen it, but I'm not going to put them through into words or in actions. And even best would be if I don't let them run around in my mind. Okay, I've made the arrangements, the logistics are in place, that's fine. But I need to be able to give myself that space and time in which I'm not going to react, so that at least there's no more karma. And I'm going to let my conscience become stronger and stronger, so that then it really is able to be my master and guide me. The difference between what Baba calls a bhogi life and a yogi life is very simple. Bhogi, one caught up in sensuous pleasures. And yogi, the one who's experiencing the link and the relationship with God. And so my habits of the past and the result of those habits, it's a huge complication. And I don't even have the time or energy to sit and look through 84 births records to see which soul, where, or anything like that. But just to know that I'm carrying those sanskars and it's now time for me to finish them. That's what I want to do, to settle them. And so every time a thought comes up which I know is from the old sanskars from the past, I need to have enough of a link with Baba, not just to know, but also to apply that knowing into life. I used to always say to God, and I didn't really pray as such because I didn't do much bhakti before coming to Baba. But as a child, I knew that Baba was God, and I would say to God, I want to have an intellect that's clear, that's able to understand, that's able to see, that's able to know you. And I realized today that one shouldn't ask Baba for anything. Baba gives you everything anyway. But I was asking only for half the thing. I was talking to Baba and asking for Baba's light, but I forgot to ask for God's might. And so yes, I understand, but then to put the understanding through into practice, I need to have God's power. And so now, an opportunity for me to know Baba. And knowing Baba, being able to make that connection with which I can make my sanskars shift, so that God's love, God's fire of energy is able to reach me and take me also. So one is the whole subject of understanding myself and taking that light, that might, to be able to bring about change. The other is faith. I'd like to ask a question. Who believes that victory is possible? Not everyone? Think about it. And when Baba says faith, well, you're sitting here because you have faith in Baba. And I'm sure that you also have faith that the world is changing and that the golden age is coming. So what is it that you don't have faith in? The self. The lack of faith in the self. Now that's another very interesting one. And I think building up faith in the self is possible. You don't have to stay at that stage where I don't have lack of faith in myself. And building up faith means, firstly, because Baba talks about faith through the intellect. Firstly, understanding that if God has chosen me out of all the souls in the whole wide world, and really it's a handful, if you think about the population of the world and then the population here, it's a handful. And so out of that handful, I have a special role within that handful. Just this much. God selected me. How many souls could God have chosen? There were plenty. But sometimes we even interpret this in a negative way for ourselves and we say, but Baba, why did you have to choose me? And we complain to Baba even because of that. But yet, in fact, God chose me because God could see within the soul those sanskars of the deity, those sanskars of the golden age also. And so if I lack faith in myself, let me ask the question, to what extent do I have faith in Baba? And if I have faith in Baba, then I must also start believing in myself. Otherwise I say I have faith in Baba, but I don't have faith in the words that Baba has spoken. Now that's very strange, right? If you have faith in someone, then you believe what they're telling you, usually. And so in this case also, faith in Baba's words, and especially for those who came to Baba a long time ago, Baba's words of blessings were spoken to us individually. But then even for those who've come afterwards, just the awareness that Baba has selected you and Baba has made you belong to him because Baba loved you and loves you today. You don't have to do anything to prove it. It's not service that's going to win you God's love. It's giving your heart fully to God and letting God heal it and massage it and make it whole again. But God's willing to do all of that. But what I have to do is to have faith in my own victory. Faith in the intellect leads to victory, but to have faith in my victory. on a very personal level. And my faith in myself grows as I take it a step at a time each day. And there's little victories that I can count and add every day. In my interaction with you, was there love and respect? The bird begins to move. When I saw the suffering of others, was I able to have compassion and generosity of spirit? So again, that level of faith increases as I see that, yes, I am one of those souls. I wouldn't have just turned my back against somebody in need and gone away. Just look at all the good things that you have done out of your love and compassion. Daddy often says how when it comes to talking with others, we hide our defects and publicize our sins. True. We hide our defects and publicize our charity. The little charity we've done, we publicize that, we tell everybody about it. But it's also true the other way, that sometimes we don't realize how much good it is we have done. When there's a shadow over us, a cloud over us, we forget that. And then everything seems very dark and grey. But pause. With Baba, look back and see all the good karma that has been accumulated. And there's been a lot for each one. Many of you sitting in this room I know, some of you I don't know. For those of you who I know for a fact that there's been an accumulation of good things that you've done. And so remind yourself of that, see that, take inspiration and courage from that. And out of that power, whatever thing that needs to be sorted out today, you'll be able to do that further. Baba found me. I have faith in Baba. I have faith in what Baba tells me, and Baba's telling me I'm a victorious jewel. And I'm not even thinking about huge, huge steps of victory. I'm thinking about even simple things. And in a way, they're not so simple. How many Amrit Velas have I had? How many Amrit Velas have I not had? It is another story. But I sometimes think about it and I say, who in this world at the end of Kali Yuga would give up their warm bed and their quilt, especially in the middle of winter, and get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and sit just simply to love God and remember God? I know priests who are very well respected, and pandits, and people, who are dedicated to religion and God. And they don't get up at 3:30 in the morning to sit in God's remembrance. I know some who do, but very few. But here, for the majority of us, and for the majority of time, this has been part of our life. And so, when Baba says, I appreciate every single one of you, I can understand. Maybe I don't understand completely, but I can understand it a little bit. In Global House, when Daddy's there, lots of people come for Amrit Vela, and they come from long distances also, so the conference room is like packed. And then when she's not there, middle winter, I understand it's not so easy to start getting into a car and driving and coming all the way. Why should they? It's not even very safe. It's dark. But even so, Daddy there, not there, I'm there, not there. There's a core group that's there every morning before 4 o'clock in the conference room in meditation, In Baba's room, yes, there too. But even in the conference room, there's a group of regulars. And I think, how much love does God have for these souls who want to do nothing but sit, remembering God with love? It's a beautiful thing. And so everybody here, you've been through it. Maybe you also had hard patches when you haven't been up for Amrit Vela. But there have been times when you have. So Baba loves you for that. How many times have you made it to class? How many times have you not made it to class? But how many times have you made it to class to hear God's versions? It is incredible. You know, if I see the lifestyle of Brahmins, I really, really respect them a lot. From morning, study, then through the day, many traffic controls, few traffic controls, but all sorts of mechanisms just to stay in God's remembrance. You know, there's a story they have in Bhakti that there was a Bhagat who did tapasya for thousands of years, and he still didn't know whether he would qualify to go to heaven or not. And then, at the end of the Copper Age, at the end of the Iron Age, there was a Bhagat who did bhakti for just a very short time, and he was told that he qualified for heaven. And so on the one side, bhakti for thousands of years, but that was different. It was the time for bhakti, the world wasn't so bad, you didn't have so many attractions and distractions and crazy things happening. And today, a completely topsy-turvy world, upside-down priorities. I don't have to explain to you, you know that. And then out of all of those, some souls, a handful of souls, come to Baba and they make the effort to come to class every day. So why I'm mentioning this is just to remind you of the good karma that you have done. Amrit Vela, morning class, is good karma. Other things that you've done, I'm sure, lots and lots and lots of things. You know, sometimes Baba tells us, count your blessings, important. But also count how many good things you've done, important too. And your faith in yourself will grow. That these also have been victories, little victories, but victories nonetheless. Victory over laziness, victory over carelessness, victoriness over tiredness, victory over matter, victory over cold and heat, and, you know, lots of things. So it's been little victories. And little victories adding up. And I think you begin to see that, yes, big victory at the end is possible. And so remind yourself of who you are and what is the good karma you've done, the time it is now, and how Baba is the one who's helping you. And Baba is the one who is saying that, yes, child, victory is possible for you. It's something that is for you. It's not for somebody else. I came in this morning at the last bit of Dadi's class because I came from Shantivan, so just arrived in time for that last bit. And in that last bit, Dadi was saying how Baba said to her, am I going to find another Janak? In the same way. Each one unique. Each one contributing in a very special way to Baba's task. Is Baba going to find another one like you? So you are unique. And so guarantee of victory. Because Baba has found you, Baba has selected you. So when you're thinking about your New Year resolution, remember that victory is guaranteed for you. And you'll begin the new year with that faith, that conviction, that commitment, that courage, that empowerment, knowing that, yes, it's going to happen. Yes, it's going to be possible. And every time I've tried with my sanskar and I've failed and it's come up again, I've learned. I've learned how deep is that sanskar of mine. I wouldn't have learned otherwise, but I've learned. But also, if today Baba is saying that I want you to be avyakt, I want you to be karmatit, I want you to become Bab-Saman. If it's Baba's wish, then surely Baba doesn't have wasteful wishes. Nothing of God goes to waste. No thought of God goes to waste. Every thought that God has takes practical form. If Baba's giving us that blessing, every thought you have is going to take practical form. It's a blessing Baba's given all of us. So multiply that 1,000 times and you begin to get an idea of how every thought that God has is a purposeful thought, a useful thought, a thought that brings others closer to God. And I don't just mean strangers, I mean within the Brahmin family, I mean within your Lokik family also. Baba's thought for them brings them closer to Baba. So no thought of God ever goes to waste. Words of God aren't just like that to be thrown aside. They're pearls, they're jewels, they're valuable. And so when Baba has told me that faith is your, victory is your birthright, let me believe it. God's words aren't going to go to waste. And so my faith in that is going to carry me forward. A few things to remind yourself of every single morning in order to sustain your promise or your commitment to Baba. And one is, each morning, the intoxication of who am I? It sounds simple, and it is very simple. But we forget simple things. We forget how valuable and important simple things are. And so every morning, to spend time firstly creating that awareness of who am I? Who am I through the cycle? When Baba says spin the discus of self-realization, it's a very personal thing. Self-realization, swa-darshan. Not what happened to monkeys at the end of the Iron Age or what happened to dinosaurs at the beginning of the Copper Age, but me, I the soul, and my journey through the whole cycle. What was I like in the Golden Age? Let me emerge that feeling and that experience. Baba's conducted drill on this subject a few times over the last couple of years very beautifully. And I don't know what was your experience when Baba was conducting those drills. For me it was maybe the most intoxicating and the most powerful periods of the Murli. Baba himself conducting drill and awakening our original deity sanskars. Was it yesterday or today that Baba said, you have the angel and deity sanskars within you. Now emerge them. It's time. And so my commitment, whatever other detail I put in my resolution, but my commitment has to be that through the spinning of the cycle, I'm going to emerge those divine sanskars, those deity sanskars. And so emerge them and feel it. And stay in that awareness, not just when you're sitting in yoga, but when you leave the yoga and you're looking around and you're interacting with others. Be in that awareness of your deity sanskars and see what's the impact it has on others. They'll be a bit shocked, a bit surprised. but they will love you. And they may even come to find out what it is you're doing that they need to know about. But really try it. Emerge those sanskars of the deity stage. And then, yes, a little bit of a loss, the loss, the loss, the loss. And then the sudden change, the copper age. What were my royal sanskars at the end of the Silver Age that led me to search for truth? It was royalty within the soul that led us to search for truth at that time. And so emerged that feeling of what it was to look for God, pray to God, love truth, and then come back again to the end of the Iron Age and look at what you were like then and what Baba has made you today. The contrast. And for many, it's a very marked contrast in terms of vision and attitude and consciousness and lifestyle. Many things changed when you came to Baba in that way. And then Baba found you and made you a Brahmin. Emerged that intoxication of finding God, finding knowledge, finding truth. We forget our own experiences. And so we lose that intoxication. Talk to the dadis and they never forget the early days of the yajna. Any one of them, and they'll tell you of the joy, the love, the surrender, the obstacles, the opposition, but the courage, the faith. All those experiences are so alive for them still today. And yet each one of us had to face obstacles to come to Baba. Each one of us had to deal with all sorts of things. And so let me remember how Baba helped me through that period and how it is I was able to become a Brahmin. And I have that intoxication of knowing who I am. The angel stage. I'm a Brahmin today, but as a Brahmin, sometimes I struggle up and down and in and out and too many things to do and not enough time for myself and all the usual things. But Baba's not just seeing me as a Brahmin. Baba's seeing me as an angel. And so let me emerge those angel sanskars. And as I experience my own angelic form of a being of light, I know that I'm giving light to the world. There was a lovely comment I read, and you know how emails carry little messages. Well, this was somebody's email with a little message that when I see the sun, I'm grateful for the light. But in the dark night, I'm grateful for the stars because they show the way. And so Baba's children, Baba's Baba, but each one of Baba's children are the angels of light who are showing others the way of what it is to belong to God, of what it is to be messengers of peace, of what it is to follow the path of purity and non-violence. And so just remember who you are. Go through the cycle. Experience that intoxication. And your New Year commitment will be very easy because you know who you are. So every morning, it's not just an exercise once a year when you come in front of Baba and Baba conducts drill. Nearly every day in the Murali, Baba says, spin the discus, spin the cycle. And so emerge that experience. You know, we're so used to hearing Baba tell us this that we forget that we're actually supposed to do it. You know, it's like a mother telling a child, they have to do this, they have to do this. And the child, you know, nods their head and promptly gets on and forgets and does other things. But Baba, the mother, knows that we are not spinning the discus, and so Baba wants us to, because it's the only way to get in tune with your original, eternal identity. Then the sanskars of today, it's, just temporary, just a short space of time. What is a few decades and thousands of years? We get so stuck. But I've been making effort for 10 years now, and there's still no change. 10 years is nothing. It's a prick, a tiny little pinprick out of the thousands of years that other sanskars have been able to catch hold of me. And so let me not get worried about that, but emerge your own angelic stage and be able to be up above. And in that stage of being up above, then when you come down, the world looks different. Because from up here, it looked very different, but you hold that awareness when you come. And in that new awareness, look at the same situation, and it's quite different. It's changed. And so, spin the discus and experience what it is to have victory. And then the New Year's resolution, it's a very tiny thing to be thinking about. But with Baba's help, even if it's big, Baba will make it happen. Baba will make it possible for transformation to take place. So before Baba comes tomorrow, have that absolute determination. The end of the old, a new consciousness, a new beginning, and a new experience with Baba. Okay, let's practice going through the cycle. I won't do a commentary, but practice it in your own awareness. Up in Paramdham, the soul world, the deity stage, the stage of love and devotion and search, the stage of bhakti, intense trying here and there to find God, Brahman, Baba finding you, giving you new life, angel, the stage that Baba wants me to have today. Om Shanti.